to be talking about education today. And the reason that I am talking about it, it's because it affects our economy. And you're probably thinking, CJ, it doesn't. It does. And that's what I wanted to talk about it because I think it's important that now that we have probably new policies that are going to be set, things are going to be changing financially and economically, we need to address education. And I make it my business because it is my business and it is my industry that I am working in, right? Regardless of my um, academic background in terms of what I work in currently as a professor, it is my industry. So I make it my business. And I want to make sure that anybody who's watching this, whether you are a team replay or you are watching it live, I want to make sure that I can address some of these issues and maybe you guys can get into the conversation. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about it. But before I do, let me tell you amazing people in my crew. Also, Podcast Circuit, this book right here. Let me see if I can show you. For Black Friday, it is actually 50% off right now. It did hit number one international on Amazon. But more than anything is really this. When you are a business owner and you're looking for messages, right? Like, how do I get into putting my branding and authority? It costs $15,000 to get it done, and I don't have that, and we don't. Most of us don't. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna network, and when you network, make it genuine. Don't be awkward. On your first meeting, when you're meeting somebody, don't hop into a Zoom without turning on your video because that's awkward. You have to make sure that if you're not ready, then don't get into those places, right? Rules of engagement is super important. It is customary for people to be on Zoom to have your camera on, or at least tell people why you don't have your camera on. Because I feel really uncomfortable when I do Zoom chats and your video is not on, regardless of what your your reasons are, right? So that's the first thing when it comes to branding and authority. You have only first one chance to meet somebody. And if they give you the time of the day, you need to take that opportunity and make it the best opportunity ever, right? If you're not in your A game, don't get into those rooms because you are getting that vibe, that judgment vibe, right? If you are a good fit for continuing networking or not. Another thing is with Mike to Millions, I really truly thought about four areas that you, at least for me, that you could benefit from my own journey of doing Mike to Millions for podcasting. I did the top 10 podcast hosting platforms, and I'll actually give you the reasons of why. And I also do the top 10 podcast platforms with worldwide listeners, right? Because you need to get your messages out there. And then, of course, the top 10 AI tools for podcasting, right? And you're like, I'm not into AI. Well, you better get to know AI a little bit. Doesn't mean you have to use it, it just means you need to be knowledgeable about it. When you need to use it, you know how to use it. Because what's going to happen is if you don't make it your business to know all the tools that's available for you to make your life and your business streamline, it's going to be an issue in terms of you're going to have to be paying somebody to do it for you when you could have been learning from the get go. Another thing is the trending topic for 2024. So obviously, this carries all the way to 2025. I'm also looking for only top 10. I believe I already have three or four, so I only need six more for Reinvention Maven on my magazine. It is both physical and online. This is the most recent one. Because I always design the cover. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to put somebody's picture on the cover or the cover that I've created. Maybe, but this is more of manifestation for 2025. What are you doing this year? You're planning to do next year, and also kind of think about we have less than 50 days, right, for the end of this year. Thanksgiving's coming up, Christmas coming up. I want you to think about what is your words for next year. Yesterday, no, no, yes, yesterday on Podcast Circuit, my meeting, actually, I was thinking of relentless. That was my word for the year next year. It's going to be relentless. And then I added in my head, after I thought about it, is transformational. And so I'm going to put those two together. What are some of my transform being relentless and transform, right? Transformational, relentless, or relentless transformation. Those are my words that I'm playing around with. So hopefully you have your own words for next year. We are still actually with Susanna. I'm going to be creating some of these anthology. Will continue We're going to continue to create this anthology for next year as well. And so right now we're still against the grain, my dear Susanna. Look at how pretty she is. She's so pretty, right? On what we're going to do. Leo. Oh my God. Hi, brother Leo. I'm on TV on Leo's house. Hello, brother. Hopefully everything is good on your end and all the loving and kissy pups that you have over there. So, Sister Susanna and I still have our anthology. This is called a what? Against the grain, right? Against the grain, because we want to make sure that you can actually write in our book, write in our anthology, and making sure that your legacy and your impact is created now. And what we do is put you on live stream, we put you on YouTube, we also put you everywhere else. So in case you missed it, this is our dear sister Susanna's Against the Grain. All right. Ooh, look at my head. Hello, brother Leo. How are you, sister Danielle? I hope you're giving those pups extra kisses for me this morning. All right. So let's go ahead and go right into it. I want to make sure that you guys can see and what we are doing today. Okay. Let's take a look at if you are able to see this. I think you are. It's called 2024 U.S. Educational State Trends. And we want to make sure that we can talk about this in a credible way, meaning not just out of thin air, right? We're actually addressing things that matter for our educational system. So this is my research, and I'm going to um, tell you exactly where I got them from. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do, oh, I think I just went over. As of November of 2024, oh, yeah, definitely. Something is eating up my computer right now. So we're going to go back to the very beginning. Look at those kids. They are definitely ready to roll. But let's go back to the very beginning of this institutional with stats and what is trending and what are we asking or what are we doing right from our government. So as of November 2024, the higher education landscape in the United States is literally characterized as something that is gloomy, right? Very gloomy. um, Enrollment trends overall has declined for a bachelor's or undergraduate enrollment. It decreased over the past decade. So in fall 2021, there's about 15.4 million undergraduate students that were enrolled. And basically in 2010, there were at least 18.1 million. Obviously, COVID happens in 2020 and all the international students have gone. So I can explain at least that disparity of 3 million, right? Now, let's take a look at this. Is, by the way, you guys can also look at the stats for yourself. I'm always big on transparency. You can look at National Center for Education Statistics. They will have that information for you. Now, the institutional distribution in fall of 2021. Obviously, again, this is during COVID. Um, just to let you know, stats usually doesn't get accurate until 3 to 5 years later. So this is the reason why you're like, CJ, what about 2024? Where this is the newest number that we can get for research, right? Because everything changes and collection of data takes a long time. But in 2021, 77% of undergraduates attended public institution. Okay. 18% were at private institutions and 5% were at private for profit. The other one is nonprofit, and then the other one is for profit. Again, this is from the National Center for Education Statistics. And you're probably wondering, well, what's the difference? Money. Money. Okay. Public schools are definitely more affordable. The nonprofit is second affordable. And then, of course, for profit is definitely a little bit more on the expensive side. Now, let's talk about how all of these institutions, you only have really three: public, nonprofit, and for profit, right? So, educational attainment. So, post secondary degrees as of 2022, 51% of US adults between the age of 25 to 34 had degrees, right? Think about that for a minute. 25 to 34 had a degree, right? And this is averaging, it actually surpassed the OECD average of 47%. Now, notably, 56% of women in this age group held a degree compared to 46% of men. Again, National Center for Education Statistics. So, what does that mean? It means that there are more women getting their degrees than men. It is also meaning that between this age group, most women are getting their bachelor's degree. That is wonderful. However, here's my take on that. Make sure that you get your degree on something that you want to work in the industry. Don't get a degree in psychology and then you're going to go into sales and not use it, right? Sales, by the way, has a lot of psychology behind it too. So I'm just saying, if you're going to go to school, make sure you know what your degree is going to do for you. Otherwise, you're going to waste time, you're going to waste money, and you're going to have exert energy for nothing, right? So make sure that I'm always proponent for that. Now, when it comes to the statistics in terms of why are there more men or why are there more women than men, it's probably because men are going into sales position more, IT more. Some IT jobs are predominantly men, most actually predominantly men, but they don't need a higher degree to do that. They just need math skills, the ability to comprehend and do the work, right? Now let's talk about racial and ethnic disparities. Why is this important, CJ? Why are you talking about race? Because it is important for what? For everyone to have education, regardless of your race. Now, in 2011 to 2021, the percentage of adults aged 25 and older with a bachelor's degree or higher increased across major racial ethnic groups. That is a good thing. However, there's still some disparities in existence, right? 61% of Asians holding a degree compared to 41.9% of non Hispanic white. 28.1% of African Americans and 20.6% of Hispanic adults. Here's the thing. Yeah, people are this. You don't understand. Asian culture, it is part of our culture. It is ingrained in our culture that you must be educated, especially if you are a female, because you're considered minority, even though, most of the world, 4 billion of us are Asians, right? It's craziness. But when you look at numbers, I want you to look at numbers not just for the numbers. Think of your creative thinking. Ask the questions of why. Why do you think that most Asians have the highest holding of degrees? Because it's our culture. And I actually wanted to see if this has actually lower percentages, because I know it was a bit higher than this prior to 2011. So I would like to actually see. And also, I wanted to see this 61% of Asian, is it mostly women or is it mostly men? But the US Census Bureau just gave us this huge number. So there's other things that I would like to see as well on this thing. Now, if you think about it, right? Why do you think that is? It's tuition cost. It costs a lot of money to go to school. Okay. Public institution for 2022-2023 academic year, their average tuition fees at a 4-year public institution is $9,800. This is a 5% decrease from 10,400 in 2012 and 2013, which is great. But 5% increase in 10 years, decrease in 10 years is ridiculous. At least we're having a decrease, right? And everything else is going up, books, everything else. Now, private institutions, nonprofit institutions saw an 8% increase in tuition, and then from 37,600 to 40,000. And then, of course, in 2022. So now we're looking at for profit. The National Center for Education Statistics didn't really have statistics on it, but I think it's because that's for profit. They don't have to unless they are actually on the New York Stock Exchange, they don't have to share their financial data. So the NCES does not need to have those data. I would love to see some of those data as well. So those are some of the things that I'd like to compare to 3, but we only have 2 out of those 3. So you're like, okay, so it costs a lot of money. Depends on what kind of minorities you are. You can either have a degree or not. All right. Well, here's the thing. Student loan debt. As of the 4th quarter of 2023, student loan debt in the U.S. reached approximately 1.6 trillion. Average debt is about 37,000 per borrower. Average. Okay. This is because if you only have maybe 1 degree and you're paying for it, right? People like me who has a lot of degrees have a lot of student debt, right? But this is what happens when you are in education and it's not affordable for everybody. So let's take a look at some of the other information in terms other than, of course, student debt. Of course, I'm telling you, I have one more problem before I provide solutions. You know me. When I come up with a problem, I will always provide solutions. So let's look at public perceptions and enrollment decisions. Declining confidence, right? Public confidence in the value of a 4-year college degree has declined, with only 22% of the US adults in 2024 believing it's worth the cost if loans are required. This is from Financial Times. Think about that. Only 22% of US adults. Okay, let's close our eyes for a moment. We say we don't need this degree anymore. We don't need to be educated anymore. We just can Google and do AI, right? No more critical thinking, copy and paste. I know this is going to sound like a bad dream. While we're questioning the value and worth of our critical thinking and analysis in a formatted that's been here hundreds of years, really, versus another country. Okay, think about it. Think about the stats I just gave you. 61% in this country are Asians who are educated more than any race. Do you think that the Asians outside of United States are going to stop going to school and educate themselves because AI is here that they've created? Okay, let me take it further. If other countries value education more than the US because that's trending in the United States, 10 years from now, everybody else is educated except for the United States because we don't believe in it anymore. What do you think is going to happen? Do you see your job right now requiring you a master's degree to be moving up in the company? Do you see your company moving you up because you have a degree, some capacity or not? It's a checkbox for some, correct. And half of us, or even 75% of us, don't even like AI because we're scared of it. We are like, oh my God, we're stupid. We're thinking, I don't want it, blah, 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 where it's trending. Okay, I want you guys to think about this for a minute. If our country is so strong, well educated, really have a lot of good jobs, this country is barely making it, but it's absorbing everything we got. Okay, all the vitamins, nutrients, the resources, everything we've got. This shrinks and this increases. Do you see where I'm going with this, people? Without really blurting out the obvious. That other countries 10 years from now, if we're going on this trend, we will be left behind. Okay, it is super important for us today to realize the value of education and formal. If you are learning nothing, then we need to question the educational system, but not stop it. Change it. Be graceful and be flexible, but you cannot sit there in your chair comfortable and complain later that, oh my gosh, I didn't see it happening. It is happening. You need to think what is happening. Okay. So I'm just saying. Now, alternative pathways, there is a growing trend of students opting for community colleges, technical schools, or entering the workforce directly, influenced by concerns over tuition costs and student debt. Listen, if the 4-year degree institution cannot lower their tuition cost and everything else because of whatever cost that is rising, then these schools, community college, technical schools, and workforce directly, and educators like me have to provide an alternative ways for us to learn so that we can be competitive in the world. We're not just competing the United States. We are competing with the world. You can have work to Dubai, to Asia, right? To Antarctica, anywhere else. And if you right here in your home front are not educated enough to have that conversation, to have the theory and action together, meld together, it's going to be a loss for us. We don't want that in the United States, do we? Right? We're competing with the world, people. Okay? So there is that alternative pathways. Now, of course, I provide solutions, so I gotta provide, I mean, problems, so I gotta provide solutions. But first things first, let me check up on you guys here and how you're doing. Okay, thank you, YouTube, for 800 people being here. I appreciate you. And let's take a look at if we have any questions before I move on. All right. So we have, who's the first one? I think our sister Susanna is the first one, right? Yes, she is. Thank you, sister, for being here. Leo and Leo and our sister Danielle is on TV. They literally put me on TV. Hello, puppies. Of course, our brother Mike is here. Yeah, the book is coming out. Yes, it is. Wait, is that my shirt? Oh, I wish, right? I wish. This is a tube top mic. I think that's gonna be a problem. Hello, Nicole. Thank you so much for being here. Sister, we need to put you up here when you talk about AI for sure, right? We need to find solutions to these problems. And I know that you do business in AI as well, right? And Miguel, of course, you have to be here, bro, because this is our space, anthropology, and working with businesses, right? This is our space, brother. So I'm so glad that you are actually here today and joining us, right? I didn't want to be a person who did not use my degree in my business. Exactly. Exactly. Mike, we love you too. It is amazing to see people here, and Team Replay will also be there. And some of my listeners are literally driving taxis and things like that. So it's not like they can comment. I got that feedback actually last week or a week or two about that. So, yes, definitely. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you. And now let's talk about solving this problem, right? I gave you an issue. Now we got to give that issue a solution. So, what are some of the solutions? Well, let's talk about it, right? We have rising cost. We have teachers like literally leaving, right? Leaving. So what do? Oh, we went. a little too far. That's what we did on our solution. We're on number 2 instead of number 1. Um, Lessons learned. Do not put animation when you are trying to present on StreamYard using Canva. It takes up a lot of time and energy to do it. So let's just talk about it right now. ADHD moment, guys. Sorry. Now, the rising costs and accessibility, it's a financial burden, right, for attending college due to increasing tuition fees, inequity in access to higher education for lower income families. So the alternative, like I said, is trade schools, right, and or apprenticeship as more affordable. So increase awareness of available resources that students are unaware of financial aid options now available to them. So programs that educate students and families about scholarships and grants and other financial aid options can increase college accessibility. Now, if you are in higher ed right now and you are in financial aid, don't just send a dang list, okay? Literally interview the person. Hey, do you want to go to educate yourself? Here are some of your options. Um, Also, why not have educators like me get a degree for free in your institution while teaching for you? Some institution that I work for does that for me. That's how I got my master's in cybersecurity and counterterrorism. I got it for free because I work for an institution. But now I want to get my PhD in psychology, but I can't because it costs like $80,000 plus probably books and things like that. So it's another 100 grand. Am I capable of getting the degree? Of course I am. I've had 4 already. I want a 5th one. But am I able to afford it? No, right? So we need that for people who wants to educate themselves. They should be able to. Like Switzerland has 100% free, I believe, in education. Why not? Right? Government spending on war and all of these things should be spent on educating our people for real. Okay. Um, Reduce administrative costs. So college and universities could focus on reducing admin expenses and redirecting those funds to student services, scholarship, and of course, educational improvements. Income based repayment and loan forgiveness. Implement and expand on that loan forgiveness programs, particularly for those in the public service like myself or critical fields, right? And simply income based repayment plans to reduce the financial burden on graduates and stop doubling the taxes. Like increasing the interest. Like, if you owe 80,000, don't be like, oh, 80,000, let's add 60,000 more from that interest. Stop, right? I know you're trying to collect all this taxes and interest and blah, blah, blah. They're not, it's either you collect money or you get zero. Think about it, zero or something, right? And lower interest rates on student loans. Reducing federal student loan interest rates would make repayment more manageable and also decrease the overall financial burden on students if you're going to do it. Or again, I say make it free. If you have a certain GPA, you should be able to get it for free. For people who don't have certain GPA and fooling around in college, then they should pay, right? Because you're wasting our money. That's what I would say. Um, yeah, again, Canva, don't do it with anything. Improving accessibility for lower income families. So increase awareness of resources again, guys. Free community college and early intervention program. So that would be my other option for that, right? Go ahead and provide the low income some options to come in for free in terms of college. Promote alternatives to traditional college education. Expand those apprenticeship programs. We don't have it as much. Partner with industries and colleges and government agencies. Create more apprenticeship program in fields like technology and healthcare and skilled trades. Offer paid hands-on experience, right? Don't be like, oh, it's gonna be free. You're gonna volunteer so you can get the skills, and I can give you a letter of recommendation. That's good on some areas, but I think on some areas that they already have experience, they should be paid. Also, increase investment in trade and vocational schools. So, public funding for trade schools and vocational programs can make pathways for more accessible and reduce the stigma around non college career paths. Just because you didn't go to college, but you actually went to get certified, doesn't make you any less of a worker. It just means that that's not your path. We need to stop being snooty if you have a degree. Oh, you only have a certificate? Okay, right? Stop doing that, especially if they're doing vocational. Now, there are those certificates that I find repulsive. People give certificates on others, like coaching, and they are working as, I don't know, delivery or jobs that are like cash registering. Nothing against those people, but for you to charge $10,000 or $5,000 for a coaching session that you got certified by somebody else for whatever, and now you're going to be mentoring some high end people to coach their mental capacity and agility. Think about what you're saying. So, a 2-year old could literally teach a 16-year old because they got certified. That's how I see how silly that is, right? Certification, some of these certifications, people don't have credibility, right? Credibility. If you give me, imagine if I go and say, I'm a surgeon, I practice on chicken all the time. How ridiculous. Would you get me to cut you open when you're in an emergency room because I have been certified? No. Think about those things. Okay. When you want to be a lawyer, oh, I have ChatGPT. That's okay. You just pay me 10 grand and I can defend you in your criminal case. You murdered only one person? No problem. How ridiculous. Think about all of those things that we're okaying as normal just because I got certified. Stop. Stop. You sound ridiculous. Okay? You need to make sure that you do not F up people's lives. And it is your responsibility, whether it's traditional education or vocational education, still education, that you are helping your community, not just taking money. Okay? High school career pathways programs, creating or expanding high school programs that expose students to trades, apprenticeships, and community college pathways. I actually graduated early in high school in my junior year, and then went to college during my high school senior year, right? Now, here's the next one: leveraging technology and online learning to reduce cost, right? Online and hybrid learning models, colleges can offer online courses to reduce overhead costs. Now, you don't need a building. Now you don't need internet to provide in there. Now you don't need maintenance to clean the building. Now you don't need all of these computers in your building. Now you don't need, lighting, insurance for liability when the students are there. You do not need those things anymore. So that cost should go back to the students, right? This could make education more affordable and accessible, especially for non traditional students, like working adults like myself who wants to go back to school, like yourself. If you're a working adult, you work 8 to 5, you don't have time to go to school during the day, but you want to do during the night, right? So make sure that that is available. That's what's happening. That is what's trending right now, right? Now, open educational resources. I don't know if you guys have heard of OER. Using OER, like free online textbooks and educational tools, can also reduce the cost of materials, because having to have, like, we have to use third party materials that are credible source, right? These people either have been doing curriculum development for years and years. They are a dean of universities like myself. We create curriculum development, and we make sure that our institutional, okay, curriculum is actually based on a third party like WASC or DEAC to be saying, hey, these are okay. Imagine paying for some education for 4 years and it's actually fake. You would be so devastated, right? And let's say that you get paid back. You just lost your time and your money, and it's not even a real degree, because at that point it was fake, right? That's literally how I feel some certifications when they're not credible. Oh, it drives me insane why you guys can't see it. But it's neither here or there. Here's the thing with OER. You can actually have a lot of OER where professors are putting together their um, knowledge and putting it on a book, creating a book with well developed research to make sure that what you're saying is credible. Going to Google on some random blog does not make it credible unless that person, again, okay, there's a checklist on credibility. Have a background in it, have experience, extensive, I say decade or more experience in it, and also have something to back it up as what? An example, not from thin air that everyone can just have an opinion. Okay. Now, corporate sponsored programs, partnering with corporations to provide sponsorships, scholarships, and co op programs can offer students financial support in exchange for work commitments, helping offset tuition costs. Some some organizations that I belong already have that. They actually provide, let's say, one class. If you which one? When I work for Geico, I think we're saying like you have to have a B in class. You pay it up front. Once you get your grades and you show it to HR, then they pay you back your tuition, right? So just keep that tuition money rolling for each term and make sure that you're a B. This is the same thing that I was saying. If the government will have enough budget for people who wants to get their degrees, fine. But per term, saying the government will pay up upfront, right? But if you get a lower grade than a B, you have to pay it. It's just fair, right? To me, that's fair. If you're not going to work hard, don't put yourself in that situation, right? If you don't get a B, you should pay for it. If you get a B, that means you're serious. I'm not even asking for an A. I'm just asking for a B. I'm just saying. Okay, C is too average. We're not dealing with average. We're going to be above average people, right? So this is some of my solutions that we could do in terms of leveraging technology and also offsetting the costs. Now, let's talk about what you can do as an individual, right? Because you're like, CJ, I don't own a big corporation. So, how do I know how I can provide for my employees for these amazing things that they can do? Well, we're going to talk about you. So, let's see who is in here actually right now. Zargul, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. Very informative. Yes, it is. Thank you so much. Is a need of the day. It is. It is. And a lot of people, I don't need education to do this. Guys, think about what the other country is doing. They're not stopping their education because it's not trending or we're getting certified. Really? You're going to be competing with the world's most educated people because you got certified in the boardroom? Get out of here, right? It's not gonna happen. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, Ali, we should aim for learners' autonomy. Don't make them dependent on your system. Correct, correct. I think that autonomy is also what does it mean? Wait, what? What is DAC? Did I say DAC? I'm not sure if I said DAC. You mean DEAC or WASC? Is that what you mean? Let me know. My sisters are. Oh man. What? Okay, DEAC and WASC is actually an accreditor. Basically, they're saying they're the third party that watches the curriculum of colleges to make sure that the curriculum is in the standard of excellence. Because here you see a lot of people who are coaches or program director, whatever, they create classes for you, right? For their mentorship program. But no one is telling them if that's good enough. A lot of people get scammed and paying $10,000 and thousands and hundreds of dollars on something that they sold because they're good at talking, but there was no value in it. So what does the government do? Federal government of the United States, we have an accreditor, a people of institution that watches every single colleges, for profit, nonprofit, or state, to ensure that the education that you're getting is at standard of excellence, right? Basically. So DEAC, I think that's what you meant, is called Distance Education Accrediting Commission, right? They've been established since 1926. They're an old institution that's there for all educational here in United States. So thank you for asking that. I think that's what you meant by DAC or DEAC, and Wasatch or WASC is exactly the same. Um, Ollie, internet, infrastructure, learning, smooth learning types. Yeah, right. Because infrastructure in some countries are also not very good. I understand that. But here's the thing, that's why they go to those little schools, right? Because some parts of the Philippines, even some parts of China, are not ready for those types of infrastructure, right? But we're just talking about the US. So I think most of our infrastructure here should be doing. But here's what you can do. Okay, these are my solutions that I think would work for all of us. We need to advocate for policy change, right? We need to support legislative efforts. Contact your representatives, right, to advocate for student loan reform, increase Pell Grant funding, and tuition free community college initiatives. I know New York does it, I know California does it, Free of the People does it, right? So how can they do it if they're small institution, but yet our public schools and our government can't do it? We already paid enough taxes, right? Now you could also sign petitions to join advocacy groups and vote in support of educational reform policies. Also, engage in public discourse, guys. Write or share articles, posts, and stories that highlight the need for accessible, affordable education. Spread awareness about issues like rising tuition cost or student debt, inequity, to build public support. Remember that we here in United States need to make sure that we continuously learn, right? And education is super important, but we do need to change some of the ways that we learn. Just going and learning from textbooks is not good enough anymore. You learn from textbooks, but the textbooks that you're learning from has to be project based learning. Here's what I do with my students so I know that they can't just use ChatGPT to submit their assignments. Of course, they have an essay because I want them to have critical thinking. Now, if they want to do ChatGPT, I can tell that they're doing it and it's their prerogative, it's their education, that they're paying nothing for their brain because they're using somebody else's thoughts. But at the end of the day, to pass my class, I require a project based assignments. Basically, what I do is I have them create a report that they have to present in class. Then they have to integrate everything that they've learned in my class for all the lectures that I did in that presentation. Not only I require that, but I require them to also present it and write it at the same time because I want to gauge how you're writing and how you're presenting is aligned. When I ask you a question about your own project, you better be on top of that answer because then I will know, and I know that you know that I know that you're not really on your own thoughts, right? And I also challenge my students to not read from the notes because when you're in the boardroom with $20 million project, imagine you're like, well, this thing is gonna be, yeah, we need to move A to. No one is gonna give you credibility if you are not on top of your game. So if you're going to write it, you're going to talk to it and you're going to be able to answer my questions. Sometimes I also use Harvard curriculum because I have access to it as an educator. I do have to pay for intellectual property, and my students have to pay for the intellectual property. But I create those modality where the whole person, whole brain is used for that purpose, is to make it fun, but make sure that you're educating yourself, and you better be on top of your game because I will catch it and I will ask you questions. And then you know that I know that you didn't write it, nor did you actually practice it, right? Now, create local scholarship funds. This is what I want to do. And I wanted to create a nonprofit to do scholarship funds. Communities can establish scholarships specifically for low income students, partner with local businesses to fundraise and offer awards to cover tuition and books and other expenses. Also, again, encourage local apprenticeship programs, partner with nearby businesses to develop apprenticeships opportunities for students, providing practical paid experience without the financial burden of college. It's like bartering. You work for me, you get educated. That's what I used to do for mentorship. And some students were not grateful. So I stopped that. And I do mentorship for pay. And I'm trying to actually do mentorship on business people and the way they communicate their own brand, right? I have the ability to put words together that is conducive to what you're trying to do when you're actually trying to brand and have authority of your own space. Educate families also on student financial aid options. Host financial aid workshop for colleges people. You guys should be doing this. Partner with schools or community centers to organize workshops on financial aid, scholarships, and grants. I know some high schools already have people that goes, but I think they need to go more in detail and talk to every single student who is going to college and have a class for this, not just like, oh, here's your financial aid, you can borrow money. I think they should have a class for a senior to do financial aid so that they and their family understand what the commitments are, right? Explain the FAFSA process. FAFSA is a beast. This is more of a financial aid from the federal government. If you are international watching this, this is more of like our way of system that we actually get covered by either government or private loans. If in case you make money, not make money, then you can get certain loans, and then there's a ceiling of how much you can take. So, having those offer tips for minimizing college debt, build awareness of available grants and scholarships. I really wish that people have a list of grants, not just one, but literally a list of grants and their requirements, and have a class again on these grants and how to apply for them. Most of the time, we have to figure it out. Hot miss, right? It's like we're going to hit it, we're going to miss it, it's a hot mess, really. So, share resources and directories for grants and scholarships widely and help them demystify the process of families that can access funding or more easily. The people who can't speak English very well and the people don't know the system, they don't get, they're not, it's not because that they're not smart, it's because they don't know what's in front of them or what's available for them, right? So I think if we just get college for free, and you have to maintain an average grade of B, otherwise you pay, it would probably solve most of our problems and get really smart kids, right, to do well in school. Promote mental health and well-being programs. I am for this for sure. Develop on campus support networks, volunteer for or support mental health and peer groups on college campuses, advocate for accessible counseling services and awareness programs that help students manage their academic and financial stress. It's really stressful when you're a student. You're trying to make sure that you can feed yourself, you have enough for books, you have enough for entertainment from your friends, and then also maintaining that grade average, right? Raise awareness about mental health resources. So if you're involved in an educational institution, help develop campaigns that inform your students mental health resources and encourage self-care, right? I think colleges can do a better job on doing this. So that is all I have for you today. So let's take a look at and spend 10 minutes to talk to the rest of you guys and see what are your thoughts. Let's see. We have 1,062 in here. Thank you for being here. All right. So let's see. Miguel said, I registered for courses that were OER. Means I didn't have to buy textbook. Yes. What about B-ish? Mike, you would say that. You would say that. Let's see. C plus. No C for you, brother. You have to pay up if you get a C, that's for sure. Thank you for being here. I feel like we need a new letter in between B and C. You're funny. So okay. Yeah, so it's DEAC, right? I'm familiar with WASS. I had a close connection go through that process to accredit an English language school in Asia. I see. WASS is, I knew the VP of WASS when I was a dean because we had to work our school up to par. So I am very familiar. If you're a dean, you have to be very familiar for institutional requirements on what you need to have to make sure that all of the requirements that you have is up to par. Now, WASC stands for Western Association of Schools and Colleges. This is a regional accrediting agency recognized by the U.S. Department of Education, right? So it's California and Hawaii and other regions meet and establish standards of quality and effectiveness. Accrediting commission for schools really is where they need to be. Oh, it says connection is unstable. My Wi-Fi is having some questionable issues. Even if you're talking to US, there are people that are in islands, Hawaii, Guam, etc., or people out of US country benefiting the courses provided online from US. That is correct, Ali. That is correct. But in terms of structure, right, in terms of trend in the US, I'm more concerned, like I'm thinking more of a nationalistic campaign for the US people who basically, because all my stats is from the US. So um, I'm not saying that you can't. All I'm saying is that the trend in the United States in terms of numbers are declining, right? And then also making sure $2 graduate in medical, their EDU standard is not up to the marks. I have assessed that. Exactly, right? Exactly. Can you imagine getting cut by somebody who's a D or a C average? I would die. Applied knowledge, yes. Text learning may be supported with project base. It is. That's what I do is project base, because that is the only way you can learn with critical thinking. So yes, thank you so much. Thank you guys so much for being here. The whole brain should be used, right? The whole brain should be used, but it's not, because of the use of Chat TPT. Financial education, yes, we need that. We need that. No cost cards for presentations. Though I have always wait, I have ways to present and still access notes for specific item that have on the slide. Use this on the international speaking. I'm not sure what you're trying to say, sister. Oh, for the presentation, yeah. FAFSA means okay. So FAFSA is right again. This is for here in the United States. It's more of a financial aid for our students, literally to ensure they look at. So, what it stands for, I'm going to tell you what it stands for. It's called Free Application for Federal Student Aid, FAFSA. This is used by current and prospective college students in the United States so they can apply for financial aid from the federal government. This is managed by the US Department of Education so that they can determine eligibility from various types of financial assistance. So hopefully that helps you. We are doing a financial workshop in the HOB in December. Spot on. Yes, but that's more for business. We're talking students, right? So yeah, C plus plus is C. I don't accept C, man. I tell ya, right? That means you need to go back to drawing board and repeat. Our Wi-Fi is good. No, it's not your Wi-Fi. It's my Wi-Fi, for sure. Definitely an interesting process as I watch. Yeah, it's very expensive. The University of Dubai wanting to pay $2 million for WASC actually to be accredited. So that's what we are doing. So thank you so much, guys, for being here. I appreciate you. And aside the brain, we need to tap with the heart. Yes, I'm all about the heart and empathy, but your heart can still be beating, but if you don't have any neurological functions, your body kind of slowly dies, right? The heart pumps blood and oxygen has to go through your brain. So both of them have to work together. I think I think people are good people, but they have different ideologies and different priorities in their life. And it's okay if you are not educated. It literally is, right? I'm not saying you're a less than of a person, but don't use some of these people that I've seen in the past year, really, just use certifications to catapult their lack of education as an equivalent of an education, a formal education, and it isn't. Also, people randomly having, names attached to their names for no reason when they don't deserve it because they haven't earned it. That bothers me, right? Because I work hard for mine. Almost died getting mine. So, yeah, I don't think that you should be able to get that if you haven't earned it. To me, everything is earned, including your trust. I don't just nilly willy give my trust 100% to people. You need to earn trust. Same thing for earning your grades. You don't just buy grades, you earn grades. And a lot of the institutions, sometimes I feel like you can buy it through ChatGPT or having someone write your paper. But in my class, you ain't doing that because I want you to present it in front of everybody, including myself. And you better be on your toes when I ask you questions with your presentation because I want to know that you wrote it. So if you write it, you could close your eyes and answer those questions for me, right? So that is the name of the game for sure. Well, blessings everyone, thank you so much for being here. I know heart functions being a BLS provider. Yes, thank you so much for sharing that. I would love to get to know you more, Zargul, and your thoughts on the educational system. I'm not sure if you're in the United States or not, but I appreciate you being here and also getting information from all the trends that's happening in the US and start in terms of educational system and trends. I'm tired of people being called doctor without the degrees, medical or university doctorate level. I know, I am tired too. People are just like naming names like doctor this, he ain't a doctor, he ain't a doctor, get out of here, right? Or yeah, I am actually too. Like that means like everyone can just throw it out. And this is why they think that degrees are no more value until you go to the boardroom and you don't know what the heck they're talking about because you're going by your experience and people having pseudonyms for you when you actually don't deserve it, but you believe it because other people are calling it. Doesn't mean you deserve it. But everybody has a lot of experiences that they can definitely provide. You don't need a degree to be a human being, to be kind, to be nice, to smile, to share information. You don't need degrees for that. Degrees are used as a value, as a tool, right? To have that conversation of what they're talking about in certain industries. That's all. Bye, everybody. Have a beautiful Wednesday. And tomorrow I will be I will actually be here presenting Paulette and Charlotte's not going to be here. It's just Paulette. But Charlotte, I put her picture in here is because she is a co-author, right? Co-branded really for Paulette's books, Jack and Walter. And she has 4 already. So why were Jack and Walter created? Uncovering their true purpose. And she is from the UK. So she'll be on TV tomorrow. So hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a beautiful Wednesday. Bye, everybody.
Are you a curious student, eager to learn new skills and make your mark in the world? Or are you a professional seeking to advance your career and unlock your full potential? You need to be equipped with effective soft skills like communication, problem solving, teamwork, and more. The Level Up Academy by Doc Leland bridges the gap between education and employment through transferable skills training. Get the soft skills you need to be more effective at work.